So I decided to make this custom mold. I don't have one of those real nice heart column molds, so I made my own. I just took one of those quarter plastic cutting boards and formed it into a heart shape and clipped it together. Nothing complicated, except I made a mistake. What's the mistake? I should have trimmed it a bit more. I'll tell you why. Because I folded in too much, which basically cut the heart in half, so that when I unmolded it, it came apart in two pieces, breaking my heart. Literally. So I'm calling this healing heart, though, and it's rather ironic the way this actually ended up. Now, there are a couple things I want to address. First of all, the color. Some people are going to look at this heart and see something different. I try to keep this all G-rated, but I know what I see when I look at it at a certain angle, and I know others will see it too. That was completely unintentional. The color didn't come out right. I did use Brazilian red clay, but I didn't use enough of it, and so I got more of a flesh pink color. Had it been a brighter red, well, I'm going to drop that and we'll just move on. I did rather early on that I wanted this to be a mint soap. Something about peppermint and a heart, and it just appeals to me. And what I'm showing you here is charcoal. I make my own charcoal. I know a lot of you use activated charcoal. I've used it too, but I already burn a lot of wood here, so I make my own charcoal. What makes charcoal? It's wood that you burn, and then you stop it before it burns to ash, basically with water. It's not, or you can smother it. It's not that complicated. And then I just grind this up in my spice grinder, and I have activated charcoal. And what I was showing you that for is I was using it to darken my red. Obviously I didn't add enough, right? So this is going to have olive oil, shea butter, well, the regular oils that I use. And I'm going to, oh yeah, that's what the olive oil is actually a peppermint infused olive oil. So it's really minty smelling. And I'm going to add some peppermint essential oil to this batch as well. So I'm just adding my color to my oils first. And this was just it's a personal thing. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. It really is, I'm like the wind. There really was no other reason. Now, what you can't see is that I'm actually working on two other soaps, all at the same time. My stick blender didn't get a rest. The way this happened is that these are all multi-step soaps, right? Like this one, I have to create the heart part of it first and then and with the others, same sort of thing. They are multiple steps. Why I did this to myself, I don't know. And one of them I think's a fail, so you'll never probably see it. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is because I'm going to do it again. I really want it to work. It's a real special one to me. So I'm going to start all over again. But see, right here, I should have recognized that it wasn't dark enough of color. And I looked at it and I thought it'll darken once it dries, right? But that was a mistake. It lightened. Yeah, I really should have added more of the Brazilian red clay. And I have some of the dark red too, or I could have added tomato powder. I didn't, that's all. That's just me adding in the peppermint essential oil. And I need to apologize in advance. I didn't realize the camera wasn't centered over the mold. I realize it after I pour it, but anyway, just pulled a Patrick. Now this part all worked perfectly. It held in place. That's why. And the only reason I have it in this round mold is to just give it a place to rest, so it's not standing on the table itself and possibly making a mess. And there it is. Now, I didn't actually film me unmolding this, only because it was just a disaster. See, I had to cut this in the back of it because it's just the way that I had it folded into the inner heart. The only way to get it out was to actually cut it because, as I said from the beginning, I put too much in the fold, and that's what I'm showing there. I've learned. I know better next time. I absolutely know better now. But as such, there was hardly anything holding the heart together, so as soon as I unmolded it, it fell into two halves. And my little heart was broken. And here's the tragedy. So, it truly is a broken heart, broken right down the center. These are two halves. The only thing holding it together is me holding it. So I did a little bit of trimming on it so that it would fit inside the square mold, and it worked. I got it in there. I did have to use some tongue depressors to hold it in place while I did my pour, because I was afraid it would fall over to one side and it would just be lopsided. And this did work. Now, the one thing that I didn't count on, or I forgot, is I wanted my heart to be red, and I wanted it to be in a blue surrounding. And instead, my indigo decided not to play nice. And it can be that way sometimes. The most beautiful blue indigo can turn the most lovely color of green. So I actually added more, like that was going to make a difference. And what can cause this to happen sometimes is where you get your indigo from. And I'm going to tell you the truth. When I've got it from Brambleberry, it stays blue. I just don't have this trouble. This Crafter's Choice, I'm sorry. And I like I like some Crafter's Choice things. They make decent molds. But I'm not real happy. Now, this did darken. I'll give it that. It did turn into a sort of a teal blue. But it's just not reliable. And it'd be one thing if I was adding fragrance oils to it and it would change the color, but there's really no reason for it to do this. I don't know if it comes across in my videos. I really don't. But I love doing this. Nothing makes me happier than creating, whether it be soaps or lotions or creams. I take such great pleasure in it. And there's not much else in life that I take that kind of pleasure in. Now, I like my job for what it is. I get to help people. Every day I get to help people. I get to help people with HR issues, whether that be their ADA accommodations or FMLA, which is the Family Medical Leave Act, all those sort of things. I love that. It allows me to feel like I'm actually helping someone. And I don't get a lot of that opportunity here because of, well, I live very rurally and I live alone. Now, I do try to help, but I don't talk about that because, well, when you talk about your good deeds, they're no longer good deeds. So, anyway, that being said, working and making soaps and things like this and sharing it with you all, showing you how I do things, hopefully you're learning some little something. Maybe you're gleaning some bit of knowledge. If nothing else, maybe you're learning what not to do. And there is value in that. There really is. I would, when I was a kid and I took driver's ed, what did they show you? Films of kids having car wrecks. The most horrendous things. They show you what to do wrong and what happens when you do things wrong and that you need to avoid them. So consider me a driver's ed coach of soaping. And that's how I felt, at least in regard to this one. And I like the outcome, kind of. I love the style of it, the look of it. It is the color, because it's just too reminiscent of something other than a heart, and that wasn't my intention. Some people will turn it upside down and they'll see a derriere. Some people will see other things. I see other things, and that wasn't my intention. And I'm only repeating that again because I'm sorry. I really am. I just made some mistakes, but I'm going to be more careful going forward. I always say that, don't I? But I'm going to. So there. And because I was so unhappy with how green this was looking, I decided to at least touch it up with some almond oil and some of the blue indigo. Because just in the oil, see how nice and blue it is? It just doesn't play nice and light. And a lot of it does, actually. It's just this particular brand I haven't had good luck with. And it may not even be that it's necessarily that it's crafter's choice. It may be the batch they got in. Let me know. Where do you get, if you buy indigo, where do you get yours, and what have been your experiences? So what I'm doing, I'm just putting a few drops on here, and then I'm just going to blow it with a straw. And I know how this looks, a little silly, but you can get some interesting effects this way. Generally, if the top hasn't already started set up like this did, that underlayer was already, see the skim on top when I blow on it, so it just kind of moves, but it doesn't move like liquid because it's already started skim over. And this works out fine, but it works a lot better when you're dealing with liquid soap. I mean fluid soap. And of course, I had a little drag there, but I cut these real big. I think I only got 6 bars out of this loaf, which was fine. I wasn't, And folks, I'm sorry I haven't been replying to your comments right away. Things at work have been just really hectic. And soaping is my relaxing, it's sort of like where some people have a bourbon after work or take a nap or whatever. I soap or make lotions or those sort of things. And I know that I've been answering posts the next day, and for that I'm sorry. I will try to do better. It's just right now work is really crazy. I have almost 600 people under me that I have to help every day. Not all of them every day, but I just mean of those 600 people, you can imagine there are a lot of them that need help. And yeah, that's taken up a lot of time. So I did like the broken heart. I don't mind the blue-green color that the indigo made. That I'm okay with. It's just the color of the heart. It completely threw me. And you have to remember, I'm looking at it from a different angle than you are. You're seeing it, and I did that on purpose. Wanted you to see the heart shape. And I was looking at a different shape. So I want to thank you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.